What's up, people? Today, we are going to the third annual Entheofest in Ann Arbor, Michigan at the Diag. It's going to be about a 2-hour drive for me, so I'll let you know when I get there. Peace. Can you tell me your name and what it is your organization does?
Sure. My name's Patricia Madsen, and I'm one of the directors for the Michigan Meetsters. We're a advocacy group that helps patients and caregivers in the state of Michigan. We've also expanded from not just working with patients and caregivers, but for the people of Michigan. So in 2008 and 2018, we voted for a People's Initiative to have cannabis freedom in our state. Since 2008, 2018, we've had promises of jobs, we've had promises of opportunities to be a business owner in the state, and we also had the promise of being able to keep a safe and beneficial medical marijuana program.
Okay.
Along the way, like in any industry, it's to be expected. There's a lot of corporations that would like to amend anything that we've put in as People's Initiative. So what we do as a group is we actually try to innovate, and that basically means we want to find ways for growers to be able to access testing. So we have a state operation procedure, standard SOP in the state for testing. Anybody can have a lab anywhere, and any grower from any home can actually go and get tested. We want to start making craft cannabis in the state, just like we have craft beer, but we don't have to wait 22 years like we did with alcohol.
Okay.
And so that benefits the people of Michigan, and then it helps us separate the growers from the caregiver, and then, of course, all we're going to continue to do from there is just innovate and innovate and innovate. We want to make the best cannabis culture in the state of Michigan. Or,
All right.
excuse me, the country.
All right.
So,
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can you tell me what this is for?
With the table?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a drawing at Entheofest today. Someone will win one of each one of these books.
Okay.
And then someone will win the whole library. Yeah, I'm on the podcast. And the podcast sponsoring it is the Raised and Weeds podcast.
Okay.
So you can get a little free sticker, and
Alright,
that's my
thank you.
QR code. And if you want to stay in touch with this organization,
fill out their
Michigan
tickets to win at the
Society,
library.
Okay.
And so, and then I take pictures of some of the people
that
that
go for that. But we're just trying to promote books
and I'll post them to
that
my friends. And
help people understand Entheogen.
those are
All right. Thank you very much.
Oh, you did? Yeah. So yeah, Shelly brought those, and yeah. And then Shelly runs the podcast, and we're just helping fill out
Oh yeah, you should take a picture of the mushroom family.
Yeah, absolutely. What's
Yeah.
your name?
It's Lynette.
All right. Can you tell me your name and what it is this booth is for?
Sure. Eric Vaughn from Epiphany Mushroom Company,
Okay.
and we're here to support Entheofest.
Okay. And what is it that you guys do?
We match seekers and providers of mushroom products and services.
Okay. So does that mean you can help people find places to find like microdose legally? Of
Everything
course?
we're doing is folks that have access to mushrooms already, and we're helping to provide a path and a menu of choices for mental health professionals that can help in the integration process, which is where the
Okay.
magic is in positive adaptive change.
Okay. Now, what can my few viewers I have do to help, if
Yeah.
anything?
Yeah, come to events like Entheofest, learn more about the power of psychedelic therapy, and participate in the research body. There are tons of clinical trials going on, trials like the Mayday study that are available, and get involved and learn more, and that's how you can help at this stage.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Yep. Have a good one.
You too, thanks.
Now, can you tell me your name and what it is this booth is for?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Megan Oxley. I'm the medical director here at Michigan Progressive Health. We're a ketamine-assisted psychedelic therapy clinic here in Michigan.
All right. And how long have you guys been doing this?
7 years.
7 years?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. And so what does ketamine do for therapy?
Ketamine is like a catalyst to help you make more changes, usually at a little quicker pace than traditional therapy.
Okay.
Kind of helps relax the thoughts that you do have, so you can maybe make some new thoughts. Ketamine also helps people grow new neurons and make new connections. Life is stressful, and that has like a negative effect on our brain, and so ketamine, in a way, helps rejuvenate that piece as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now, what can people do to help this organization, if anything?
We're just trying to spread the word about how helpful psychedelics are for mental health, and we're also trying to help spread the word that, it's very likely it's not just this biological component to mental health, right? Everyone feels like, oh, I have a serotonin deficiency, so I need a medication to fix that. And the story of mental health and why we don't feel well in our brain is like so much more complex than that. And so our mission has been to kind of help spread the word and normalize that people are struggling and give them new options to address those issues.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Now, are there any resources that my viewers can go to do any type of support? Or?
Yeah, at MichiganProgressiveHealth.com, we have a whole resource tab. It has the organizations that we align with. It has a lot of the educational materials that we use, and that can be very helpful.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Nadiyara muhomina ode goyarila Nagoyara muhomina ode diarila Na tundiara muhomina kele diara bolibadila Yo jaliya manyongo bae Yo jaliya jaliya bebatiya
Can you tell me your name and what it is this tent's for?
Say again?
Can you tell me your name and what it is this tent's for?
Yes, I'm Michael, and this tent is to pass out information about the Entheofest.
Okay.
The Entheofest, as you see, is the main event going on today, and it's sponsored by Decriminalize Nature Michigan, or Decrim Nature Michigan, and Julie Barron, and a whole host of organizers and community activists who have for a long time known that plant-based medicines, whether they're the fungi or cannabis or iboga, ayahuasca, that they were given to us, and we use them as human beings in society to heal ourselves, heal our communities, heal the earth, and to raise our consciousness, raise the collective consciousness, and to be in that symbiotic relationship that we should have always been in with the earth. We've been disconnected from that. And Mama Earth knows that. And she's calling us as a collective to come back to that, because we've laid all this concrete and asphalt and brick and all this heaviness and weight on her. And then we made illegal what she gave us to keep ourselves healthy and keep her healthy. And so now this consciousness that's being raised, I believe again, is her, it's Mama Earth, it's Gaia, it's plant driven. And we're just the players that we can have the privilege and the honor to participate with her in these plants to heal ourselves, heal our community, and heal her. To stop this madness that's going on.
All right. All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Can you tell me your name and what it is this tent is for?
Sure, my name is Katie, and I'm here helping support the Michigan Psychedelic Society. So we are providing community for people who utilize psychedelics. We're partnered also with Blue Sage Health, where we have integration circles every week, or I believe monthly, monthly through November, and then there's also a psychedelic integration training that's starting later this year.
Okay. And is there anything my followers can do to help spread the message, just sharing posts?
Absolutely. Just destigmatize, educate, and share information as much as you can. I think that's one of the most important things you can do, but getting involved in community is also extremely important. The more support we have, the louder the message is.
Right. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I won't take up too much of your time.
Yeah,
Thank
have a
you.
great day.
can you tell me your name?
My name is Nick.
All right. And what is it that this tent is for? The Student Association for Psychedelic Studies.
Yeah, so basically we are a group that really our overall objective is just to expand the objective awareness on psychedelics and really just safer and accessible options to alternative medicines.
All right.
And I guess the way that we really aim to do that is through creating an open discussion about things like the growing body of research into psychedelics as a alternative therapy for many different things, as well as the political, cultural, and ethical issues that arise from it.
Okay. And is there anything the people who watch this could do to help?
Yeah, by all means, getting involved with all the the local activist groups, especially supporting Naturalize or Decrim Nature is a big one here.
Okay.
We work very closely with Julie Barron, and yeah, it's, that's probably the number one way to get involved. But I think overall, it's just getting out and supporting your own opinions and ideas, and in the end, I think that comes from voting and letting your voice be heard.
All right, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Could you please say your name and?
Officer Coates, U of M Police.
All right. Now, how do you feel about the legalization of entheogenics within the past few years?
I think it's a positive thing, and if the people want that, they should have it.
Okay. Now, are you just here to try to keep the peace? Because I know selling on campus is prohibited.
Yeah, we're here to keep the peace, make sure everyone's safe, and everyone has a good time.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
All right, yep. So long.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jim. Thank you.
Hi, Jim.
Let's give it up right now to Mari Kuyate and Ayinde Fondaran, who just knocked it out on the kora and drums. Before them, please give it up for Sacred Sound Journey by Mark and Roberta Maxwell. I'm sure we all still feel those vibrations. Welcome to the Entheofest 2023. We have a different feel than usual, if you hadn't noticed. I feel very honored to introduce the speakers today that we have for you for our third annual Entheofest. It celebrates the anniversary of the unanimous passing of the City of Ann Arbor's resolution to decriminalize plant and fungi medicines. Yes, thank you, City of Ann Arbor. As well, the City of Ann Arbor designated September as Sacred Plant and Fungi Awareness Month. So this whole month we're celebrating those wonderful substances. And as if that weren't enough, Global Mushroom Day is September 20th. So let's go. For our first speaker, everybody, he was our last keynote speaker. So he'll start us off this year. Madhu Baki led the decriminalizing effort in the city of Detroit. He's the co-chair of the Detroit Psychedelic Society and also serves on the board of Decriminalized Nature Michigan. Please welcome Madhu.
All right, greetings, my psychedelic family. It's such a honor to be here once again on the Diag as we celebrate a beautiful movement, its growth. I can see the growth from last year. I see faces that were just starting the journey who are now real allies and advocates for this work. So it's an honor to be here. Once again, my name is Madhu Baki, representing Decrim Michigan and Decrim National. It's been an honor and a work of love. Like many of us, I was so positively impacted with my relationship with this sacred plant, technology, medicine, whatever we call it. It's so important that we continue this movement. And as this movement grows, of course, we have complexities, right? We have those issues sometimes that come up when we organize. We have those questions. While many of us are propelled by a mission, this mission where we talk about the liberation and the right to our own human consciousness, we also have to deal with real life realities. And in this reality, we have to find a way to work and mesh together varying perspectives. And when I talk about these perspectives, I think about it in three different ways. For so many of us that were impacted, our hearts, our minds, our souls, our lives opened up through these experiences, it became a sacred mission for us. A mission to make sure that the world knew and could benefit from these technologies and these plants. But as all movements grow, there are people who come with different understandings. And so you have those with a mission, and then you have those that are here for commission, which for some of us is distasteful, but it has to be understood that as we grow in complexity, we have to understand that everybody's participation and contribution is important. And so me personally, I had to grow and expand my worldview, where I was very much a purist and very much on the mission and very much opposed to those who came in co-mission oriented. But I also understood that those that were co-mission oriented at least had the understanding that to sustain a movement, we need money and we need a responsible way to approach it. And so as we push forward with this movement, as we push forward with legislation, let us remember the very mission and not get caught up in questions of commission or better yet, permission. Permission is not something that we ask when we deal with the sacred and the liberation of human consciousness. And commission shouldn't be the reason that we stay in this thing. The overall mission is what cements us all together, and let's make sure we stay focused on that mission and make sure that we brave and still our hearts and don't get so used to asking for permission that we end up getting diluted and only pursuing this thing for commission. And so with this, I'm talking about my personal journey to embrace a larger movement for us to try to soothe our anger, our passions toward each other, to create a cohesive movement because it is not over. Our cities are being liberated, but our state still needs to be flipped, and the language for the state still needs to be defined in a way that reflects the people's will. And in order to do that, we need a people's coalition. We cannot afford it to be put into a traditional bill format where it can be diluted. So let us all steel ourselves for this mission. Let's move around to the tents. Let's find our local organizers. Let's get involved. Let's get organized so that we can see this thing move forward. And I'm so glad to be here. And I'm soon to take my place as a listener because I'm excited to see the expanding leadership, the expanding voices, the expanding perspectives of what we are, what we will be, and what we become. We are in the movement of human liberation of consciousness. And if you don't know it or not, it's one of the most important movements in history. So celebrate ourselves. Let's celebrate the movement. And let's get to know each other. Thank you all very much. Peace.
Thank you. Kevin Bacon, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. My bad for being late, but it's just a pleasure to be with you all today. I'm a faculty member at the University of Michigan, and I'm also part of the Michigan Psychedelic Center, which is, at this point, an institution-wide center where people study anything from the effects of psychedelics to looking in basic science models, looking at psychedelic music. And what I do in this capacity is looking both at how people use psychedelics and cannabis to treat different health conditions, especially pain. And then also, actually super delighted to note that we are opening our first clinical trial of psilocybin-assisted therapy for fibromyalgia as of this past week. So it's been many years of work in the making. And actually, I just want to express my gratitude to all of you as well, because the past few years of just waiting to get all of the regulatory approvals in place and all of that work along the way, it's been so heartening to see all of you gather and be like, there is so much that's going on, and this work is really important. So thank you all for helping me continue and helping the whole team at Michigan continue through that challenging process. So I feel so honored to be able to contribute towards a better understanding of how these substances might help with healing. So in this vein, my deep gratitude to the event organizers, to each of you for your advocacy work. We know how poor outcomes are for so many conventional treatments for things like pain and mental health, and it's incredibly important to learn when and how psychedelics are medically useful. And in addition to that, your work is essential to address the societal pain and suffering caused by the criminalization of these drugs. As we know, decriminalization is the first step towards figuring out how to use these powerful medicines thoughtfully and building appropriate societal and interpersonal solutions to help maximize the benefits from their use. So I don't think there's any one-size-fits-all solution to working with them, so let's figure it out together. We're all here, we're all doing this work anyways. So drawing from the sources represented here from indigenous traditions and wisdom, to science, and to our collective lived experience. And so I just want to note as well that over the past 2 years that this event has been happening, you all have shared that collective wisdom with myself, my colleagues, and then we've conducted surveys and published on this. At this point, we've actually had over 5 papers come out of in peer-reviewed scientific journals from the Entheofest surveys, and you all have helped us learn a bunch of different things, including most people don't discuss psychedelics with their healthcare providers, mostly because of stigma and legal concerns. We've learned where you all obtain information about psychedelics, what policies are considered more favorable in the change as we move towards psychedelic liberalization, and then, just basically what the outcomes are of this use. And again, it's been so helpful to learn all of this from you, and I just encourage you, if you wish to take a survey again, we have another one going on this year. We hope to learn all kinds of different things once again, including like what your experiences are with psychedelics, best practices for how to use these most skillfully, including for people who've never used them before, and then how psychedelics compare with other substances. So just like we did before, we'll publish these results, we'll share them publicly, and thank you all in advance if you choose to participate. So in closing, psychedelics have just an amazing therapeutic potential and maybe a tool that helps us reconnect more fully, both with ourselves and to our living planet. So thank you all for your kind attention. Have a wonderful afternoon. Looking forward to see the next speakers.
Thank you, everybody. Obviously, we're a little ahead of schedule here. He was supposed to speak about a half hour from now. So in light of that, I do want to bring up and let everyone please put in your prayers right now for Barking Dog, Daryl Brown. He's been here the last 2 years. He was our first keynote speaker. He's just a little under the weather today. We're actually going to be raffling off one of his paintings. He's an award-winning painter at our after party today that you can find at Rabbit Hole on 1st Street, which is on the other side of town. It'll start immediately following this event here today. We're going to have psychedelic DJs, fire spinners. There's going to be all kinds of tables there and things for you to enjoy. Coming up to our next speaker, everybody. It's so wonderful to be here with you all. Let me find my page. Anquinette Sarfo, also known as Q, spent 20 years as a TV journalist and news anchor. Multiple sclerosis cut her career short, and she found plant medicines and went from taking 9 pills a day to 0 pills a day, which is amazing. Yeah, give it up. And she has been an advocate and visionary for this movement and cannabis movement ever since. Please welcome Q.
What's up, everybody? Hello, my fellow seekers of healing. Thank you for being here and standing up for the right to choose what plants are best for our bodies. Without you and your bravery to show your face in this fight, People like me would never know we have other options besides expensive treatments and medical regimens that don't work. This year marks 10 years since I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And that diagnosis started my journey into plant-based medicines. Now, I'm a practice what I preach kind of girl, and I really wanted to share my psychedelic experiences with you, but I have tried psilocybin several times and in pretty significant doses, and I'm one of those people who just doesn't feel it. But Julie tells me to keep on trying and maybe take a little bit more, but I'm afraid. I'm just a little afraid. Still, though, double the dose. Okay, that's what I heard, double the dose. I'll get back to you on that. Still, though, that doesn't mean it's not working or helping me in some manner. In fact, the only study I've found researching MS and psilocybin shows it does help our brains grow new pathways. None of the MS drugs do that. So why is there just one study? And just so you guys know, I was talking to Mr. Kevin back here, and so he says that maybe MS will be the next one after fibromyalgia, so fingers crossed. But as we all know, psilocybin has been used for centuries by indigenous cultures for its healing properties and its ability to connect us with our inner recesses of our consciousness. It is a substance that, when approached with respect and guidance, has the power to transform lives. Entheogens are showing incredible promise in clinical trials for various mental health conditions, from depression to PTSD, often with just 1 or 2 doses that people can grow at home. They have the potential to revolutionize the way we view mental and emotional well-being, offering an alternative to traditional treatments that often fall far, far short. But that's right. Despite this growing body of evidence supporting the therapeutic benefits of these plants, they remained entangled in legal restrictions and misunderstandings. No plant or fungi is illegal. It is time for change. It is time for us to come together, not just as advocates for entheogens, but as advocates for the rights of individuals to choose their paths of healing and self-discovery. So we must champion, right, we must champion more research, more open-mindedness, more policies that reflect the potential of these incredible substances. We must challenge the stigma and misinformation that surrounds them, replacing fear with understanding and prejudice with compassion. So let us work towards a future where patients like me no longer have to suffer needlessly, where we can access safe and effective treatments that honor the wisdom of nature. Let us make a world where psilocybin and all entheogens are embraced as tools for profound healing and self-discovery, and sometimes even as a recreational escape, because all of us could use an escape from this increasingly crazy world from time to time. So please continue to lead the charge and be the voice of change, advocating for responsible and informed use of entheogens. Together, we will pave the way for a brighter, more compassionate future, one where hope, healing, and transformation are within reach for all. So thank you, and may our collective efforts lead us towards a tomorrow filled with healing and understanding, and hopefully by next year, Julie will have guided me through my first full psychedelic experience. Happy Entheofest, everybody, and keep fighting. Thank you.
Thank you, Q, so much for those inspirational words. Q was actually our first MC at the Entheofest. I wish you were here today doing the same thing. Our next speaker is, I have a great honor introducing our next speaker. He's an American poet. He's a writer. He's a musician. He's a political activist. He's really the reason why we're here today. John Sinclair. Y'all know who he is. He was arrested right here on this campus for selling a joint and was imprisoned. And that's when Hashbest giving away the joint. He wasn't even selling it. Giving it away. But he's going to speak right now for us, and we're really happy to have him. Guys, let's give it up. Another big round of applause for John Sinclair.
Check, check. There you go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the U of M Diag. You know, if we would have gathered like this when we first started taking acid in 1964, 65, 66, they would have arrested every one of us immediately. So we've come a long way.
Power to the people.
Power, all power. My experience, I was busted 3 times for marijuana possession. The second time I did 6 months in the Detroit House of Correction. And the third time I gave 2 joints to an undercover police woman, and they gave me 9.5 to 10 years in prison without any appeal bond. And I say that because 2.5 years later, I won my case on appeal, and we threw out the old marijuana laws in 1972. And that began, I'm proud to say I began the Michigan marijuana legalization movement in 1965. And today we're reaping the benefits of this. You know, I look on the marijuana movement as the last true democratic movement in America, especially in this ugly time of the GOP persecuting us in every possible way. I look on the marijuana movement as the epitome of the democratic process because our elected representatives refused to deal with the issue and kept putting us in prison. And the smokers and the users of marijuana stood up, went to the polls, put out petitions, got people to sign them in the hundreds of thousands, and elected marijuana legalization for ourselves. First for medical reasons in 2008, and then 10 years later, all marijuana possession. You wouldn't know it by the way the government works in Michigan now. You know, this whole thing about legalization, the guy who was in charge of it, they were giving him blowjobs to give him a license. This is the sick kind of shit these motherfuckers are into. Why don't they go to the people who have supplied us with marijuana illegally for 80 years, facing arrest, imprisonment, and the worst kind of stuff in the courts? Why don't they go to these people and say, what should we do to make this legal and to legalize your sales of marijuana? Why don't you just sell the marijuana, pay a tax on what you sold, and it's just like selling carrots? You know, there's no difference. It's a plant. The thing is, it gets you high. They don't want us to get high. If we get high, we don't want to go to work. We don't want to buy a new car. Fuck a new car. We want to get high and fuck and have a good time with each other for no money. That's why we take LSD and psilocybin, to get high and to achieve a state of highness above the everyday life of ugly America that it is today. This is why we got high in the 60s. The beautiful thing was we created a whole new culture in America. They've stomped us out by now, but we had an underground press syndicate that had about 5 million readers. We put out our own news. If we would have had 10 people like Q on television, this would be a different country altogether. If you had 10 people making movies like Michael Moore, this would be a different country altogether. There weren't very many of us, but we got high and we made a big impact, and we insisted on our rights to get high and to turn other people on and to try to create a society where people loved each other and took care of each other and fed each other and gave each other medical care if you needed it. That's the society we're talking about. Thank you very much, and keep up the good work.
Wow. So happy you could make it today. Our next speaker, Allison Bond, is obtaining her master's in social work from the University of Michigan right here with a focus on policy, which is going to help all of us in the future. She's also the president of Students for Sensible Drug Policy, also here at University of Michigan, and a grad instructor at Oakland University. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Allison Bond.
Always gotta adjust the mic because a little short up here. So how's everybody doing? It's great turnout to be here, or it's a great turnout today. Lovely weather. I'm as introduced. I'm Allison from Students for Sensible Drug Policy, and I want to tell you guys about a little story. So a couple weeks ago, I went to a friend's house, and they have what I would like to describe as the Breaking Bad of mushrooms. And it's amazing. You get there and it's a little surprising. There's these giant tubs and, once you get past all the equipment, and I sat and listened to my friend that has this basically laboratory in his apartment. And, it seems really cool. Like he's, growing in his house. But at the heart of it is community and harm reduction. And these elements that came from the psychedelic community before it had a label. This was the roots of this community, bringing people together, having shared experiences, and taking care of each other. As harm reduction and entheogenic plants and mushrooms become more available to us, and in wonderful places like Ann Arbor and Ferndale, where they've been decriminalized, and give people the opportunity to experience these plants and things that our ancestors have experienced. And we're now able to reconnect with each other in these ancient ways, but in a modern space. And as we make these changes and get back to our roots, no pun intended, as we get back to our roots, we should think about how these communities started and the purpose of them, and why harm reduction should be at the center of every decriminalization conversation, why we should be discussing harm reduction in public health, and how these ideas all intersect. And I ask you, as participants of this beautiful festival, and probably people that enjoy these plants, is think about what they mean and how they serve as harm reduction in both this community and wider substance use communities. As the president or former president of Students for Sensible Drug Policy, that's the kind of stuff that we're working on and that we think about. When we work on policy, we want to think about harm reduction and what is going to be the best for our community and getting people into this inclusive space. Thank you.
Thank you.
Allison Bond, everybody. Thank you. Student leaders are so important. That's the only way we're going to continue with this, is to have that student leadership to keep on passing on the words. Our next speaker, Shinoba, is determined to empower all walks of life to explore the potential benefits of psilocybin, mushrooms for healing, spiritual enrichment, and so on. He's focused on the greater conclusion of the movement. Please welcome Shinoba.
What up, though, everybody? You all right? You all right? I just wanted to share my personal experience with psilocybin. 2 years ago, I was going through a major state of depression and battling prescription drug addiction, prescription opioids. And, I was coming across all these different articles about how, psilocybin can basically rewire the brain and help people, become basically eradicated from depression and drugs addiction and all these different things they were talking about. So it started intriguing me. I would stay up nights just studying and reading different articles and
on YouTube, just trying to understand like what these mushrooms was about. And actually, 2 years ago, I was here at Entheofest, and I hadn't even had the experience yet. I had just came here to try to learn and get more information about these mushrooms. And my first journey was 5 grams in silent darkness. It was shortly after Entheofest. I just jumped right in. And it completely changed the whole course of my life. I came out of that trip and I couldn't even make myself depressed anymore. You know what I'm saying? It was just like I felt reborn some type of way. You know what I'm saying? And at a deeper dose, 7 grams, it broke the drug addiction to where it disgusted me when I thought about the opioids. Like, damn, like I had to take a look at myself. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the first two things. Like it has given me so much more that I didn't even ask for out of the sacred medicine. It has showed me what inner peace is, inner happiness, inner joy. These things that money can't buy. Because I used to stress a lot about money and worrying about this and that, but it's these things that I've tapped into now. There's no amount of money that can buy it. You know what I'm saying? And that 5 gram journey has led me here today to share my story with y'all. And one thing I want to touch on as well. I see all these clinical trials going on. I see the John Hopkins and all that going on. You know what I'm saying? But I don't see none of my people being included in these trials. I don't see no melanated beings. You know what I'm saying? And that's who I advocate for. You know what I'm saying? I'm tapping in with the hood, the forgotten ones. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to see more of our people included in this space. You know what I'm saying? That's why the education is so important, to try to break that fear aspect away from it, because it's nothing to be afraid of. You know what I'm saying? This medicine has truly changed my life, and I'm going to utilize it for however many years I'm here in this realm. So I thank y'all for giving y'all time, and I appreciate y'all. Y'all enjoy the rest of the Entheofest. I am Spore Lord Shinoba. Peace.
Thank you for that. Oh, amazing. Guys, just to remind you again, we do have an after party immediately following this amazing event. It's going to be at Rabbit Hole, which is across the city here on First Street, right next to Blind Pig, if you know where that is, and the Blank Slate, which has amazing ice cream. Our next speaker is also somebody that we couldn't have done today without. Emma Mead is the president of the Students Association of Psychedelic Studies, which is our logo here in the middle at the bottom. She's a master's school social work student here at U of M. Please welcome Emma Mead. Thank you.
Well, hello, everyone. All right, thank you for that introduction, Jim. Rick Doblin, founder and former executive director of MAPS, once said that the cultural integration of psychedelics won't happen overnight, and the question of young people is perhaps the most difficult involved. The first step is for people who have knowledge of these substances to share it, coming out about their own experiences. Drug education should be honest and present a balanced picture of risks and benefits. As Jim said, my name's Emma Mead, and I am a social work student here at the University of Michigan and the president of the Student Association for Psychedelic Studies, also known as SAPS. Thank you. I have been interested in the field of psychedelics since the young age of 16, when my silver-haired and ponytailed psychiatric mentor sat me down and raved about the therapeutic benefits being seen in research involving psilocybin, MDMA, and ketamine. Continuing to watch this research unfold, especially here at the University of Michigan, has only deepened my interest in psychedelic therapies. Throughout my late teens and early adulthood, I felt a need to tiptoe around these interests, always worried that I would be labeled a druggie, or a burnout. This experience has motivated me to challenge the stigma around psychedelics, as well as spread awareness and education about their potential benefit. Thus, my involvement with SAPS evolved. So what is SAPS? SAPS is a student-run organization that was founded 5 years ago by 3 master's students at the University of Michigan School of Social Work. Our mission has been and continues to be to expand objective awareness and provide opportunities for education and discussion about all things psychedelics, including the newest research, therapeutic uses and approaches, legal and political developments, ethics, and issues surrounding privilege, oppression, diversity, and social justice. In past years, SAPS has hosted a plethora of community events, including networking dinners, educational talks, and movie screenings. We pride ourselves in being a safe and welcoming platform that brings together diverse communities and groups with the common interest in psychedelics. Last year, SAPS was very excitingly recognized as the official student group of the Michigan Psychedelic Center, otherwise known as MPsych. MPsych is a university-funded center that represents a breakthrough in making psychedelic research more mainstream, rigorous, and accessible at the University of Michigan. It's been so exciting to see the center open and gives me hope that the next generation of psycho-curious young adults won't have to tiptoe around their interests. MPsych has also been a significant funder of SAPS, and we are incredibly thankful for their support. I would also like to extend my thanks to the individual researchers, advocacy groups, and policymakers that have taken on the responsibility of psychoeducation and promotion. Without your continued work, we wouldn't be here today, so thank you. Thank you as well to Jim and Julie, wherever you are, for allowing me to be a part of creating this beautiful event. Thank you all for coming. It's great to see so many people interested in this movement, and I appreciate all the work we're all doing here today together. It's important that we continue to take positive strides towards understanding and educating about the risks and benefits of psychedelics, as well as promoting ethical and safe accessibility. Thank you.
Emma Mead, everybody. You got some great student leaders. It's amazing. Everybody, you know, what happened after the city of Ann Arbor unanimously passed the resolution to decriminalize plant substances in the city? Another person, our county prosecutor, Ellie Savitt, came out and decriminalized the entire county of Washtenaw. Yes. Please. And this gentleman was a law clerk for Sandra Day O'Connor and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, if you're not aware. Please welcome Ellie Savitt, everybody.
Well, hello, Entheofest. How am I doing today? Great news is, for the 3rd year in a row, nobody's got to worry about prosecution afterwards. I promise that. And let me tell you this. So, when we made the decision not to prosecute the use, possession, or cultivation of entheogenic plants, I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. This job that I have requires tough choices. This was not one of them. And the reason for that is, first of all, to give credit to the city of Ann Arbor. The city of Ann Arbor in 2020 made the law enforcement use of resources around entheogenic plants their absolute lowest law enforcement priority. And what we did when we took office was said, this just makes sense. Why on earth would somebody be able to use, cultivate, or grow entheogenic plants in the city of Ann Arbor, but you do it just across the street in Pittsfield Township, or in Ypsilanti, or in Superior Township, and all of a sudden it's criminalized? That doesn't make any sense. Let's expand this county wide. But the other reason this was an easy decision is because of what entheogenic plants, because of what naturally occurring psychedelics actually are. I've had the opportunity since we issued our policy to hear from folks who had experienced significant trauma in their past, military veterans, victims of sexual assault, domestic violence, spousal abuse, who told me that using entheogens was what got their mind right, that it was medicine that helped them grow and helped them get back, get better. And I've also know that many people use it for spiritual purposes. And the truth of the matter is there are many people. There are scientists, there are folks that are spiritual leaders, there are people that have lived experience dealing with their trauma using naturally occurring psychedelics that can talk about that far better than I. But those are the benefits, right? What are the costs? Well, let's talk about this. Naturally occurring psychedelics are non-addictive. They are not associated with increases in violence. In fact, if you read the research, they are associated with reduced intimate partner violence in men who use them. So when we're thinking about the real and potentially life-saving therapeutic benefits that entheogenic plants have on the one hand, and the non-existent costs on the other hand, why on earth would we be criminalizing? Why on earth would we be prosecuting? So we said we're not, we have it, and we won't. But I want to talk about the inequities that remain. I mentioned that it made no sense to have entheogenic plants functionally decriminalized in the city of Ann Arbor, but not in Ypsilanti, and not in Pittsfield Township, and not in Superior Township. But right now, we have that same inequity across our state and across our country. Because in Washtenaw County, you don't have to fear prosecution for the use, possession, or cultivation of entheogenic plants. But if you cross the border into Livingston County, into Wayne County, you do, unless you're in the city of Detroit, which, thankfully, a couple years ago, decriminalized them themselves. And the truth of the matter is, this is a movement, and we should not stop until we have sensible policy, not just across the state, but across the United States of America. And over the past several years, thanks to folks advocating, thanks to folks sharing their personal stories, thanks to the fact that it is working, we have seen more and more jurisdictions make the logical and sensible choice to not treat medicine, not treat naturally occurring psychedelics as though they are a criminal matter. We've seen it in several cities here in Michigan. We've seen it in Denver. We've seen it in California. We've seen it in places in Massachusetts. I know there's a bill that Senator Irwin has been working on to decriminalize it statewide in Michigan.
Right on. Yeah.
And I know that there is a bill sitting on California Governor Gavin Newsom's desk that has been passed by the legislature that would make our biggest state a haven for decriminalization. That is due to this movement. The progress that has been made, and we saw it with cannabis, and we're seeing it with entheogens, the progress that is made because people are standing up, people are sharing their stories, people are advocating, people are talking to their legislators and law enforcement leaders and prosecutors. We should welcome that. I want to say that I will be standing with you in this movement every step of the way, alongside you, not on opposite sides of the courtroom. Let's keep this movement going. Let's not stop until we have sensible drug policy across the United States of America. Thank you.
Ellie Savin, oh my gosh. Give it up for Ellie. Thank you so much, our county prosecutor. If I ever reminded you, and you're just showing up, we have an after party. It's starting completely after this event. It's on First Street at a place called Rabbit Hole. Everybody, our next speaker, Dr. Megan Oxley, is a board-certified emergency medicine physician. She's a Wayne State graduate, and she was fellowship trained in integrative psychiatry. Dr. Megan Oxley is also the founder and medical director of an integrative ketamine clinic called Michigan Progressive Health. Please give it up for Dr. Megan Oxley. Thank you.
All right. Hi, everyone. I want to say thank you to the organizers of Entheofest for asking me to come and speak today. It's really an honor. I am the medical director for an integrative psychiatry and psychedelic clinic where we use ketamine to help people with their mental health and chronic pain conditions. And I'm really also honored to be doing that work on a daily basis. We've been there for over 7 years now. I struggle a bit with what to talk about today. There are certainly so many stories of people getting better with entheogens and plant medicines that have come out of the work that I've done with patients. We could focus on that, but I feel like that's what every story is about, like how helpful they are. I could talk about how mushrooms have helped me be a better human and helped me be a better mom, and that could be my story too. But I really wanted to bring a story that I feel like isn't being talked about a lot. I don't hear it enough. It was news to me. So I'm going to share my story and my growth and understanding about these medicines and how helpful they are. So I grew up in the 80s, and I was totally a child of the DARE era. I'm a doctor, so I was a really good student, right? And so I just fed all the lies that they told us about medicines and drugs. I thought if I did LSD, I would burn my eyes out by staring at the sun. If I did psilocybin, I'd freaking jump out a window, right? And I was just like, oh yeah, that must be totally true because I'm at school and they're teaching me this, right? In particular, my favorite childhood memory is the DARE commercial where the dad walks in on the kid doing drugs, and the dad's like, where'd you learn how to do that? And the kid says, I learned it from watching you, Dad. If you were around in the 80s and 90s, you've definitely seen that commercial. So even as a grown adult, I listened to this History Channel show on LSD. They talked about how your neurons would fire backwards and forwards, and you'd have these amazing experiences. And I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. And my husband, who was also a DARE kid, was like, that's crazy. I'm not babysitting you while you do that. So fast forward a decade. Now I'm giving people ketamine on a daily basis. I'm helping their mental health. We're seeing amazing results. And I'm starting to understand that mental health issues are not just about biological factors, but also rooted in trauma and a fractured society. I'm starting to read books like Orange is the New Black by Piper Kerman, A Really Good Day by Isla Waldman, or Chasing the Scream by Johann Hari. I finally got the facts on Just Say No. I was totally floored. Maybe you know the punchline already, but I sure as hell didn't. The war on drugs isn't because they're bad and they're harming people, but it's because our country was and continues to be racist. And that's just not what I was taught. Clearly, I already told you what I was taught. And I imagine that there's a whole slew of people out there watching this movement, having learned the things that I've learned, never taking the time to look at it again, or the experiences haven't put them in the direction to learn this stuff. And that's what I'm really hoping to share, that message. I'm hoping that we can achieve through decriminalization and wide acceptance of psychedelics is not only a new understanding of ways to treat mental health that aren't just take a pill and call me in the morning, but rather a broad dismantling of systemic racism in our country. So that's the dream, and that's the reason I'm sharing this story. There are many amazing organizations that are working on this. Shakruna is my favorite. All of the books I mentioned could be helpful if you want to learn more, as well as the Michael Pollan book that's everywhere. Thanks for your time.
Dr. Megan Oxley, everybody. Give it up. Doing great work at her 2 places here in the state. Our next speaker, Yusuf Rabi, was a House of Representative member for the 53rd District, and then he became the Washtenaw County Commissioner. More recently, he went to work demanding more responsibility from DTE to secure us a better power grid. Thank you for that. Please welcome Yusuf Rabi. Thanks, man.
Entheofest 2023! How we doing today? It is so amazing to see all of you out here today. I thought it was going to be cloudy, maybe a little rainy.
but it's sunny. It's beautiful. The earth, the universe is smiling upon us because what we are doing today is fighting for her. We are here to fight for the plants. We are here to fight for the fungi. We are here to fight for the earth. At the end of the day, what this is about for me, this is a classic example of corporate America, of the pharmaceutical industry that does not want you to believe that the earth will heal you. They do not want you to believe that your medicine can come from the ground. They want you to go to Walgreens. They want you to go to CVS. They want you to get drugged up on their pills. They want you to pay out of your pockets to fuel their profits. From your pockets to their profits. That's what this is about. And so what we are doing here today is raising awareness that what grows in the earth is not poison. It is medicine. It is medicine. It has been medicine not for decades. It has been medicine not for centuries. It has been medicine since the beginning of humanity. It has been cultivated. It has been grown. And it has been shown to work, to help people, to grow our humanity, to grow our connection to nature, to grow our connection to one another. We are human. We are part of this planet. We will not give up in this struggle for the liberation of our planet, for the liberation of our plants, for the liberation of our fungi. We will not bend to corporate power. We will not bend to corporate greed. We will not bend to the pharmaceutical industry and to politicians that stand with them, not with the people. We are here. We are strong. We will rise. We will win. It is for all of us. It is for the planet. Let's go do this.
Wow. I can still feel it up here. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got so many great leaders in this movement. Our next person, Cornelius Williams, is a leader in peer education and harm reduction. Cornelius is also a member of Dance Safe, which is one of our community tents here today over here on the side. And he's on the board of Decriminalization Michigan. Please give it up for Corn.
All right, what's up, Entheofest? That was a lot of energy. A lot of energy, yes. And I think we're all with it here, right? We're all anti-consumerists. We're all borderline anti-capitalists, like this fine gentleman said before me. What I came to talk to you guys about a little bit is harm reduction and how entheogens and psychedelics fit into harm reduction. We still have a lot of people dying in the state of Michigan because there's no access to reasonable alternatives. And I'm not here just to point out problems, but I do want to say that over 5,000 people died in this state last year from overdose, cirrhosis, and suicide. We know that these plant medicines are a path and a gateway to heal our minds and to evolve our consciousness as humans. The data shows that they reduce problematic substance use. The data shows that they help save lives. And so harm reduction is a part of this entheogenic movement. So the people who have been on here before have been discussing that this is a renaissance. They call it a psychedelic renaissance, which is the rebirth of a psychedelic movement. I personally didn't know that it ever died. And so in the spirit of those who have been telling us to turn on, tune in, and drop out for decades now, let's start to lean on our legislators. Let's start to hold them to what they're saying when they come up here and they speak to us and they tell us that they support our cognitive liberty, that they support our freedom to use plant medicines, that they support our freedom to connect with each other and be a community. Let's make it more than words. Let's make it real. And we can do that through cooperation and not competition, right? That's the anti-corporate greed. That's the anti-capitalist sentiment. We are here together for a reason. Let's make it happen. Much love, guys.
Cornelius Williams, everybody. So, why couldn't the mushroom get into the club? Anybody know this one? He wasn't mold enough. So, all right. Just trying to break it a little bit. Everybody, it is a great honor to bring up our next speaker. He's been with us for over a decade fighting for cannabis law. He's been our champion in the House of Representatives as a Washtenaw County Commissioner. He served a decade as a Washtenaw County Commissioner and 6 years as a House of Representative member. And today, Senator Jeff Irwin still fights for our environment, education, and health. He's our champion in the Senate, like I said, for more reasons than that, but for helping us today as well. Thank you. Please welcome Senator Jeff Irwin.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Jim. Thank you, Entheofest. It's so great to be here. It's so great to see so many of you here gathered on the Diag to speak out for freedom. I'm just so happy to be invited again to speak at Entheofest. So thank you to the organizers who put all this together and gave us this beautiful opportunity on this beautiful day to talk about our important freedoms here in Michigan, here in these United States, the freedom to use plant medicine, the freedom to use these plants in rituals. It's incredibly important. So I'm honored to be here, and I'm honored to have sponsored Senate Bill 499 here in Michigan, which would decriminalize entheogenic substances for all the people of Michigan. Now, you know this because you're here, but entheogenic substances have a long history serving human beings. They have a long history of use for thousands of years as religious and cultural substances of significance. They have long been used as medicine, and they have been showing great efficacy in medical trials across the world, medical trials that should be happening here at this university. And they have a low propensity for abuse. Yeah, thank you, sir. They have a low propensity for abuse. And so that's why a couple of years ago, I stepped out and introduced legislation to say nobody should go to jail for using these entheogenic substances. Nobody should go to jail for using substances that have a long history of religious and cultural significance, that have real promise to treat depression, anxiety, PTSD, a wide range of important ailments that affect the lives of millions of people. Absolutely. And these substances aren't very dangerous. When you look at their actual physiological effects, these are not dangerous substances. So why is it that they're strictly illegal? Why is it that we write laws to throw people in jail? Right? Is it ignorance? Is it big pharma? Is it all these things? It's all these things. And that's why here in America, I'm asking you to get active to support Senate Bill 499. I'm asking you to stand up for the values that would really make this place the land of the free and the home of the brave, right? There's so many ways that we do not live up to our greatest ideals. And I'm asking you to be brave by reaching out to your state representative, reaching out to your state senator, and asking them one simple question. Do you think we should still prohibit people from using these substances? Do you think we should still send people to jail for using these substances? Because there's only one right answer. And I can tell you this, if enough of us are brave and if enough of us step out and start asking those questions of our public officials, start asking them, if you believe people should go to jail for using entheogenic substances, why? Show up at their town halls. Show up at their community meetings where they're having coffee and talking about important issues. And ask about this important issue. Because the answers to these questions are obvious. And the only reason we do not have freedom and justice with entheogenic substances is because these politicians and elected leaders are able to run from answering that question. They're able to hide and not answer that question. So I'm asking you to be brave. I'm asking you to build those relationships. I'm asking you to, if necessary, get in their face and make them answer. Send emails, make phone calls, show up at their events and ask them, should people go to jail for using entheogenic substances? Should people go to jail for using them in a ritual or ceremony? Should people be prevented from using them to treat their mental illness? Should the University of Michigan be prevented from developing new cutting-edge treatments to make human lives better? The obvious answer is no. And the obvious answer is that they should support Senate Bill 499. And so I'm asking for your support. Please get involved to support this issue politically. Get involved in your communities. Keep asking the question, can we have freedom for people to use these important substances that will make their lives better? Thank you again, Entheofest. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for getting active on behalf of justice and freedom.
All right, I'm here with Senator Jeff Irwin from Michigan. Now, can you tell me how you're supporting the movement for entheogenic substances in the state?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the simple part is that I've sponsored legislation. This year it's Senate Bill 499 that would decriminalize entheogenic substances broadly here in Michigan. It would simply say that no one's going to go to jail anymore for using these substances that have such a long history of use by humans, have such a long history of religious and cultural experience, and have really helped a lot of folks. It really shows tremendous promise with respect to treating a wide range of mental health challenges like depression and anxiety, PTSD. And so I think we need to unlock the potential, allow institutions like the University of Michigan to research these substances more, and just simply stop this prohibition that isn't really helping anyone.
Right, okay. Now, what can people like me, young people, old people, do to help?
Sure. Well, every single person here in the state of Michigan is represented by a senator and a representative that work for you in Lansing. And they work in Lansing and they vote for or against laws and proposals on a broad range of issues, from clean water to criminal justice to how well our schools are funded, right? And so I would just encourage every single person who's hearing this to think about communicating with their representatives and senators on a broad range of issues, and to definitely communicate with their senators and representatives about Senate Bill 499. Ask them if they support it, or encourage them to support it. Give them reasons why you think that people shouldn't go to jail for using these substances in their lives.
Okay. Now, how long have you been supporting this bill? What made you want to support it?
So, I've supported ending the war on drugs broadly for a long, long time. I was the first member in a long time to call for legalizing cannabis. There had been folks, many years earlier who had done that in the legislature from time to time. But I think we really got the ball rolling on Michigan's legalization effort in the last 10 years, and I was really proud to introduce legislation when I first got to Lansing as a representative around legalizing cannabis. At the same time, I've said we need to look at decriminalizing all drugs and changing our relationship to substance abuse. I believe strongly that we would have less people dying of overdose, less people falling into problematic patterns of abuse if there wasn't this stigma in society around drug use that pushes people into addiction, and that instead our community invited people who are users into the circle of community. I think people would be more healthy broadly if we took that approach. And so I've always felt that way. I've always preached that. But I think the first time I introduced legislation around decriminalizing entheogenic psychedelic substances was probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And so I've been introducing it every session that I could since then.
Okay. Now, do you think if Senate Bill 499 passes, that it'll cement your legacy as one of probably the top senators that Michigan's ever had?
Well, I don't know, and it's certainly not a goal of mine. A goal of mine is to make life better for people here in Michigan, and so I think it would do that. I think that we can learn from some of the lessons that the states that have gone before us have learned. I think we can, much like with cannabis, watch some of the states that did it first, in this case a state like Oregon, and then we can develop something that is even better. Right now, we've got the best cannabis reform law in the country because of the hard work that a lot of activists around this circle right here did, trying to make sure we did have that best law. I think we can get something similar with entheogens, building off of what some of the states that have come before us have done.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Williams.
How's it going, Entheofest? It's good to see everybody. Psychedelic therapeuticalization is here. The movement has its feet, its wings, it's taken off. But a very heavily regulated model is coming together for therapeuticalization. Last year, we're going to see cannabis legalization. And what I mean by that is psychedelics, we're going to see a very pharmaceutical company. Unless we continue doing this, we need to. And if you're diving outside of the plant-based substance world, stop over to the Yale Dance Safe tent. We'll talk about harm reduction. I love you all. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being so amazing. Let's keep doing this. We'll only do it together. I love you.
Michael File Williams, everybody. Thank you, Mike. Okay, we're on our last stretch here, and if I haven't mentioned it, there is an after party. It's immediately following here across town on First Street at Rabbit. Check it out, folks. I want to thank our after party venue, the Rabbit. And then, of course, our digs here. I want to thank the University of Michigan for everything that they did for us to be here today. Folks, let me bring up the staff. Please welcome Ross Earls. Everyone, so great to be here. I look forward to continuing to build that with you all. Thank you. Hello to everybody. Well, we are on to our keynote speaker. So excited. We're grateful to have Reverend Mariella Sinners.
And it's because I come with reverence. I come with reverence, I come with passion, I come with abundance, I come with spirit, I come with sacred music that we have listened to. These are lineages, generations of music that has been transferred to some of our musicians today. So I come with reverence for the music, I come with reverence for the earth underneath us. I come with reverence for the original ancestors of this land and for the indigenous people that still continue to live on this land. I come with reverence for the organizers of this event whom I have watched for months and months and months give of their time and the energy to bring us all here to celebrate. I love celebration. So,
So, can you tell me your name and what organization you're with?
Yeah, I'm Corn. I'm with Decriminalize Nature Michigan.
Okay. And now you were talking about up there how to test your substances, or to test your substances, because over about 5,000 people, right, died in Michigan
so
last year.
5,000 people was from overdoses, suicide, and liver cirrhosis. And so drug checking is very, very important right now. We're limited to reagent testing, which is a confirmative test. What we want is decriminalization of paraphernalia so that we can do quantitative testing. There's mass spec, FCIR, and it's infrared testing that will tell you not just what substance is in what you're testing, but how much of it, so you can determine if there's a fatal dose or not. So we need the laws to change around paraphernalia so that we can actually set up testing centers and have technicians available for anyone to come in for free to test their bag and know for sure what they're taking before they take it.
All right. And are these Narcan nasals, are they for anyone to take?
Yeah, the Narcan is free. The fentanyl test strips are donated by a local syringe service program, a really amazing person. Those are free too. And naloxone has been proven to save lives. It is the way to reverse an opioid overdose. So if there is a toxic dose of fentanyl in your bag and someone has a Narcan inhaler, they can save your life. Fatal overdose is 100% preventable.
Okay. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.